The last stand answers Kayla stood on the broken wall of the city. Her armor was cracked in many places. Blood and dirt covered her face. The night air smelled of smoke and metal. She held her sword tight in her hand. Her fingers were numb, but she would not let go. Below her, the machines moved in the darkness. They crawled over the ruins like insects. Each one had a single red eye that glowed in the dark. Kayla took a slow breath. Her heart beat steady in her chest. She had been fighting for hours. Her people were gone. Some had fled. Some had fallen. Now, she was the last one left to hold the line. A small voice inside her whispered that she should run to, but she ignored it. She had promised to protect this place, even if it cost her life. The machines started to climb the wall. Their claws scratched the stone as they came. Kayla lifted her sword. She felt the weight of it in her tired arm. Come, she whispered. The first machine reached the top. It was shaped like a spider, its metal legs thin but strong. It lunged at her, red-eyed bright. She moved fast. Her blade cut through its neck in one clean strike. Sparks flew as it fell. Crashing to the ground below. Another machine jumped onto the wall beside her. She spun and drove her sword through its chest. The light in its eye went out. More kept coming. She fought them one by one. Each time her sword struck, pain shot up her arm. But she did not stop. She was the last defense. A memory flashed in her mind. Her father standing on this same wall many years ago. He had placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "You must be strong when no one else can." She had never forgotten those words. A large machine climbed over the edge. It was taller than the others, with thick armor plates. A cannon unfolded from its back. Kayla knew this one could end her in a single shot. She did not move. She only lifted her sword again. The machine charged its weapon. A low hum filled the air. She gripped the sword tighter. "I will not run," she whispered. The cannon fired. She dove to the side as the blast hit the wall. Stone shattered around her. Heat burned her skin. She landed hard, her armor cracking even more. Pain shot through her ribs, but she forced herself to stand. The machine turned to face her again. Her sword was gone, lost in the fall. She looked around for any weapon. Her eyes landed on a broken spear. She grabbed it and faced the machine. It charged its cannon again. Kayla took a step forward. Her body ached, but she would not stop. The machine fired. She leapt forward. The blast scorched the ground behind her. She drove the spear into the machine's eye. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the machine shuddered and fell still. Kayla stood over it, breathing hard. Silence fell. She looked out over the city. Fires burned in the dark. Black smoke rose into the sky. Her chest felt heavy. She was alone, truly alone. A sound behind her made her turn fast. Footsteps. She lifted the broken spear, ready to fight again. A man stepped out of the smoke. He wore dark armor she did not recognize. A long rifle was strapped across his back. His face was hidden by a helmet with a blue visor. He stopped a few steps away and raised his hand slowly. "I am not here to hurt you," he said. His voice calmed. Kayla narrowed her eyes. "Who are you?" "Someone who heard your distress call," he said. She did not lower the spear. "You are too late. There is nothing left to save." He looked around at the burning city. "Then I will stand with you. I don't need you," she said, her voice hard. He took another step closer. "Everyone needs someone," he said softly. She felt something twist in her chest. The machines were not done. In the distance, she could see more red eyes moving toward them. She looked at the man. "If you stay, you will die," she warned. "Maybe," he said, "but you will not die alone." For a long moment, she did not speak. Then she lowered the spear. "What is your name?" she asked. "Eric," he said. She nodded once. "Kayla," she said. The machines crawled closer. She picked up her sword from the rubble. Eric lifted his rifle. Side by side, they faced the darkness together. The strangers vow. The machines moved slowly over the broken street below. Their red eyes glowed in the smoke. Some of them crawled on metal legs. Others rolled forward on thick wheels. All of them came with one purpose: to finish what they started. Kayla stood with her sword in hand. Her arm trembled, but she held the blade high. Eric stood beside her, his dark armor marked with fresh scratches. His rifle rested on his shoulder. She looked at him. She still did not know if she trusted him. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice low. "I came because you called," he said calmly. "Many heard my call," she said. "None came. I was closer." he said simply. Kayla studied his helmet. She could not see his face, but something in his voice felt honest. If you stay, you will die, she told him again. Eric looked down at the machines. Maybe, he said, but you should not have to face them alone. A memory stirred inside her. Years ago, she had watched her brother die on this same street. He had said almost the same thing. Her throat felt tight, but she pushed the feeling away. The machines climbed higher. One of them, shaped like a long snake, lifted its head and opened its jaws. A bright red light glowed inside. Get ready, Eric said. Kayla tightened her grip on her sword. The snake machine fired. A beam of red energy shot across the broken wall. Kayla jumped aside as the stone exploded behind her. Dust filled the air. Eric fired his rifle. A bright blue bolt struck the snake's head. The machine jerked and fell back to the ground, its red eye flickering out. More machines followed. Crawling over the rubble, Kayla ran forward, swinging her sword in a clean arc. She cut through the first machine's neck and kicked it off the wall. Another one lunged at her. Claws scraped her armor, but she turned fast and drove her blade into its chest. Behind her, Eric fired again and again. Each shot found its target. When she looked back, she saw him standing firm, his shoulders squared. For the first time in a long while, she felt something she almost didn't recognize. Hope. The last machine on the wall climbed over the edge, its body thick with armor plates. It raised a heavy claw to crush her. Kayla braced herself, but before it could strike, Eric moved in front of her. He lifted his rifle and fired 3 shots into the machine's eye. The metal giant shuddered and fell backward off the wall. Kayla stared at him, breathing hard. Why would you risk yourself? She asked. Eric lowered his rifle. Because this fight is not only yours, he said. You don't even know me, she said, her voice rough. I know enough, he replied. I know you stood alone when no one else did. She swallowed. Her throat felt tight again. He reached up and touched the side of his helmet. With a small hiss, the visor lifted. His face was lined and tired, but his eyes were steady and kind. My name is Eric, he said. I fought in the border wars. I have seen many battles. I am tired of watching good people die alone. Kayla looked into his eyes. You don't have to trust me, he said quietly, but I will stand here until the end. Her heart thudded in her chest. She looked away before he could see the tears gathering in her eyes. The machines below began to regroup. She heard the grinding of metal as they formed a new line. They are coming again, she said. Then we stopped them again, Eric replied. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. I'd have fought alone for so long, she whispered. Not anymore, Eric said. She turned back to him. This time, she did not feel doubt. All right, she said. We fight together. He nodded. Kayla stepped to the edge of the wall. She lifted her sword. The machine started forward in a slow, endless wave. Eric moved to her side. He raised his rifle and took aim. Side by side, they waited. When the first machine climbed onto the wall again, she felt no fear. For the first time, she knew she was not alone. The broken wall asterisk. The night seemed to go on forever. Kayla felt the hours in her bones. Her arms were heavy, her legs burned with pain, but she would not stop. The machines never tired. They climbed the broken wall again and again, only to fall under her sword or Eric's rifle. Sometimes, when she turned to look at him, she saw that he was just as tired, but his eyes stayed clear, and his hands never shook. She took strength from that. A soft light began to rise on the horizon. Dawn was coming, but with the first pale glow came something worse. A deep, heavy thump shook the street below. Kayla felt it in her chest, like a slow heartbeat. She stepped to the edge of the wall and looked down. Her breath caught. A huge machine crawled into view. It was taller than any she had seen before, 3 stories high, its legs thick as trees. Armor plates covered every inch of its body. A long cannon folded out from its back. Eric joined her. His mouth tightened as he looked at it. That's a crawler, he said. I've only seen them once before. What does it do? Kayla asked. It destroys everything, Eric said simply. She swallowed. The crawler lifted one leg and set it down with a crash that shook the wall. We can't let it reach the center of the city, Kayla said. We won't, Eric replied. She looked at him. We can't stop that alone. He turned his eyes to hers. We can try. The crawler began to climb the wall. Its claws sank into the stone, tearing huge chunks away. Kayla took a slow breath and lifted her sword. Eric checked. the charge on his rifle. My rounds won't break its armor. He said, we need to hit the joints. She nodded. I will distract it. You take the shots. No, he said firmly, you'll be crushed. There's no other way, she said. He looked at her for a long moment. If you go, I go, he said quietly. Her chest ached. She wanted to tell him to leave, to save himself. But when she opened her mouth, no words came. So she only nodded. The crawler reached the top of the wall. It turned its cannon toward the city. Kayla ran forward. She swung her sword at the nearest leg. The blade hit the joint and scraped across the armor, sending sparks flying. The crawler shifted its weight and turned to face her. Eric knelt behind a broken pillar. He aimed carefully and fired. A blue bolt struck one of the crawler's joints. The metal glowed red hot. Kayla struck again. This time, her sword bit deeper. The crawler let out a low, grinding roar. Its cannon swung toward her. She dove aside as a blast of energy struck the wall. Stone shattered. Heat burned her skin. Kayla, Eric shouted. She pushed herself to her feet. Her vision blurred, but she forced her eyes to focus. I'm here, she called. The crawler lifted one massive leg. It came down toward her. She rolled aside just in time. The ground shook as the leg smashed the stones where she had been. Eric fired again, hitting another joint. The crawler stumbled. Two legs weakened by their strikes. Kayla ran forward, sword raised. She brought it down on the same spot she had hit before. The joint split open with a loud crack. The crawler shuddered. Its body leaned to one side. Eric stood and fired one last shot into the broken joint. With a groan of tearing metal, the crawler tipped over. It fell from the wall, crashing into the street below. The impact sent dust and debris into the air. For a moment, nothing moved. Kayla stood with her sword lowered, her breathing ragged. Eric walked to her side. Are you hurt? He asked. She shook her head slowly. No, he said. She looked down at the wreck of the crawler. Flames rose from its broken shell. We did it, she whispered. He nodded. Together. Her eyes lifted to meet his. For the first time, she let herself feel what she had held back all night. Hope. But the feeling did not last. As the smoke cleared, she saw something inside the crawler's body. A small device with a blinking red light. Eric followed her gaze. What is that? He asked. Kayla's single quotes S voice was low. A beacon, she said. It is calling more. Their eyes met. The fight was not over. Asterisk the hidden message. Asterisk Kayla climbed down the broken wall, her boots crunching over rubble. Eric followed close behind, his rifle ready. Smoke drifted around them in thin gray sheets. The crawler's huge body lay on its side, flames licking around the edges of the torn metal plates. The blinking red light pulsed inside the wreck. Careful, Eric warned. It could be a trap. Kayla nodded. Her fingers tightened on the hilt of her sword. She stepped closer to the beacon. It was small, no bigger than her hand. Black casing, red light. She had never seen a machine beacon this size. She knelt beside it. Can you shut it down? Eric asked. Maybe, she said. But first, I want to know who sent it. She pressed the small release on the side. The casing opened with a soft click. Inside, a data chip glowed with a faint blue light. Kayla reached for it. Her hand shook, but she pulled it free. Eric watched her carefully. What is it? Let's find out, she said. They stepped away from the crawler. Kayla set the chip on a flat piece of stone. She pressed the activator on its side. A thin beam of light rose into the air, shaping itself into a holographic image. Kayla's breath caught. A man's face appeared in the light. He was middle-aged, with short gray hair and a scar across his cheek. His uniform was clean, the badge of a high commander gleaming on his chest. She knew that face. Commander Thalen. She whispered. Eric looked at her. You know him? He led the Defense Council, she said slowly. He promised help would come. The hologram flickered. Thalen's recorded voice began to speak. Deploy all units, he said coldly. Burn the city to the ground. Leave nothing alive. Kayla felt her stomach twist. This was never about saving us, she said. Eric clenched his jaw. He betrayed you. He betrayed all of us, she whispered. The recording continued. Once the machines finish their work, retrieve the data cores. The rest is expendable. The hologram vanished. The light faded, leaving only the cold gray stone under her hands. For a moment, Kayla could not speak. She thought of all the people who had trusted Thalen, all the families who waited for help that never came, her hands curled into fists. Eric placed a hand on her shoulder. "This wasn't your fault. I believed him," she said, her voice breaking. "So did everyone," Eric replied gently. She lifted her head. Her eyes burned, but no tears came. "We have to leave," she said. "They'll send more." "Where will you go?" he asked. She turned to look at the horizon. Beyond the broken city, mountains rose into the pale sky. "There is a resistance base hidden in the pass," she said. "If we can reach it, we can tell them what Thalen did." Eric nodded. "Then we go together." She looked at him, her heart heavy. "You don't have to come. I do," he said firmly. "Someone has to watch your back for the first time since she met him." She almost smiled. They moved quickly, crossing the broken streets. Every step away from the crawler felt harder. Part of her wanted to stay and fight to the last, but she knew that would mean nothing if no one learned the truth. As they neared the old transport yard, Kayla glanced back once. The city she had sworn to protect lay in ruins. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the wind. Eric touched her arm. "You did everything you could." She did not answer. She turned away before he could see the pain on her face. The transport yard was filled with half-buried ships. Some were burned to black shells. Others were still whole, but silent. Eric searched. Among them, he stopped at a small craft with faded markings. "This one might fly," he said. Kayla climbed the ramp behind him. Inside, the air smelled of old fuel. "Get it started," she said. "I'll keep watch." Eric nodded and moved to the pilot's seat. His fingers worked fast over the controls. Kayla stood at the door, sword in hand. She scanned the empty yard for movement. In the quiet, she thought of Thalen's voice. "Leave nothing alive." Her heart hardened. She would not let his lies end here. She would survive. She would tell the truth. Behind her, the engines coughed and roared to life. Eric called out, "Ready." She took one last look at the city she loved. Then, she stepped inside. The ramp closed behind her. As the ship lifted off, she felt something she had not felt in a long time: purpose. The escape asterisk, the old transport ship, shuddered as it lifted off the ground. Dust and broken glass swirled in the air below. Kayla held onto the doorframe, her sword still in her hand. Eric sat at the controls, his eyes moving quickly over the screens. Warning lights flashed red, but the engines kept running. "We won't get far if we take more hits," he said over his shoulder. "Just get us into the mountains," Kayla replied. "We can hide there." The ship climbed higher. Through the cracked window, she saw the burning city growing smaller. The crawler's broken body looked like a dead insect in the streets. Her heart tightened in her chest. She forced herself to look away. "Course set," Eric said. "We'll reach the pass in 20 minutes. Kayla nodded. A soft alarm beeped. Eric's single quotes as hand flew to the comms. His voice was tense. "We have a lock-on signal." Kayla stepped forward. "What does that mean?" "A targeting system," he said. "Someone has us in their sights." Her hand tightened on her sword. "How long?" He did not look at her. "Seconds." A loud crack split the air. The ship jerked to the side. Mel screamed as a blast hit the rear engines. Kayla fell against the wall. Pain shot up her arm. Eric fought the controls, stabilizing. Smoke poured into the cockpit. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Kayla pulled herself up. She looked out the window and saw a dark shape rising from behind a broken building. A Hunter drone, its cannons glowing. "Incoming," she shouted. Eric fired the side thrusters. The ship swerved as another blast streaked past them. "Hold on," he yelled. The drone rose higher, aiming again. Kayla looked at the rifle strapped to Eric's back. "Give me your weapon," she said. Double quotes, "What?" "Give it to me." He hesitated for only a second. Then he pulled it free and handed it to her. Kayla ran to the side hatch. She slammed her palm on the panel. The door slid open, letting in freezing air. Wind tore at her hair and armor. She braced her feet on the metal floor. The drone hovered in the dawn light. Its red eyes locked on them. She lifted the rifle. Her arms shook. The drone fired. The blast struck the ground behind them, sending rocks flying past the open hatch. Kayla aimed for the drone's eye. She took one slow breath. Then she fired. The bolt shot across the space between them. It struck the drone just below its main cannon. The machine rocked back, smoke spilling from the wound. She fired again and again. Each shot tore into its armor. The drone's eye flickered. Kayla felt the recoil burn through her arms, but she did not stop. With one last shot, the drone's eye went dark. Its body tilted, then fell toward the earth. Kayla watched it crash in a cloud of fire and smoke. Her chest heaved with each breath. She lowered the rifle. Eric's single quotes S voice came over the speaker. You got it. She stepped back and hit the hatch controls. The door closed with a heavy thump. She returned to the cockpit, her hands still shaking. Eric looked up at her. There was something like respect in his eyes. That was impossible. He said quietly, it was necessary. She replied. He managed a tired smile. You really never give up. She set the rifle down and looked out at the mountains ahead. We have to reach the pass. She said, we will. He promised. The engine sputtered again, but kept running. They flew in silence for a time. The sky turned bright as the sun rose. Kayla leaned her head back against the wall. For a moment, she closed her eyes. She thought of her city, her people, and the promise she had made to protect them. She had failed to save the city, but she could still save the truth. She opened her eyes and looked at Eric. Thank you, she said softly. For what? He asked. For staying, she said. His gaze met hers. You never had to ask. The ship flew on toward the mountains. Behind them, the broken city smoldered in silence. Ahead, she did not know what waited, but she was no longer alone, and that was enough. The truth revealed. The ship rattled as it flew over the mountains. Snow-capped peaks passed under the cracked windows. Every few seconds, the engines made a low grinding noise that made Kayla's heart tighten. Eric checked the screens again and again. His face was pale in the cold blue light. We're almost there, he said, though his voice sounded tired. Kayla nodded. She was sitting on the floor near the storage panel. Her sword rested across her knees. Her eyes stayed on the small data chip in her hand. Commander Thalen's cold voice echoed in her mind. Burn the city to the ground. She closed her hand around the chip. When we reach the resistance, she said, quietly, they have to see this. They will, Eric promised. She looked at him. Do you think they'll believe me? If they don't, he said, I'll make them. She felt a small warmth in her chest. The radar let out a sharp beep. Eric leaned forward. To signals ahead, he said. Kayla rose slowly. Machines? No, he said, frowning. Ships. Human designs. Friendly, she asked. His eyes met hers. I don't know. The radio crackled to life. Unknown vessel. A voice called. Power down and prepare for boarding. Kayla felt her stomach turn cold. Identify yourself, Eric replied into the comms. This is Captain Dre of the Defense Fleet. The voice said, you are carrying stolen property. Surrender it now. Kayla's heart began to pound. He knows, she whispered. Thalen knows we have the proof. Eric clenched his jaw. They'll destroy us if we stop. She looked out the window. The ships were black shapes against the rising sun, moving fast to close the distance. How long until we reach the pass? She asked. 10 minutes, he said. Then we keep going, she said firmly. The radio crackled again. This is your final warning, Captain Dre said. Eric shut off the comms. Hold on, he said. He pushed the throttle forward. The engines screamed. The ship jumped ahead, shaking so hard Kayla had to grab the wall to stay on her feet. Behind them, the black ships began to fire. White bolts of energy streaked past the windows. One shot grazed the hull. Alarms wailed as the floor shook. Eric fought the controls, sweat on his forehead. We can't take many hits, he shouted. Kayla looked at the data chip in her hand. She knew it was worth her life, worth both their lives. Give me something. She called over the alarms. What? A way to send this, she said. He understood at once. He reached into the side panel and pulled out a small transmitter. If you link the chip to this, he said, it will broadcast a message. Kayla took it with shaking hands. Another blast struck the ship. The lights flickered. She knelt by the comms panel. Her fingers moved fast, connecting wires, pressing buttons. The screen blinked to life. Ready to transmit. She hesitated. If I send this, she said, her voice low, they will know where we are. Eric looked back at her. Then we finish. This fast. She nodded. She pressed the final button. A green light blinked. The data chip began to play Commander Thalen's recording on all open frequencies. His voice echoed through the cockpit. Burn the city to the ground. Leave nothing alive. Kayla felt her throat tighten. The black ships hesitated in their attack. Eric checked the radar. It's working, he said. They're listening. She stood and faced the window. They have to believe it, she whispered. One of the black ships slowed. Its weapons lowered. Eric looked at her. I think you just told the whole sector the truth. Before she could answer, the other ship fired again. A blast hit the engines. The cockpit filled with smoke. We're going down, Eric shouted. Kela gripped the back of his chair. Can you land it? I'll try. The mountains rushed up to meet them. The ships landed to snow and rock. Everything turned white. Kela felt her body thrown forward. The world spun around her. Then everything went black. Now you are not alone. Astra's cold air pressed against Kayla's face. She tried to open her eyes, but everything was blurry. Her head robbed. Slowly. She lifted her hand and wiped snow from her lashes. She was lying in a shallow ditch of white powder. The ship lay broken behind her, smoke rising from its ruined engines. For a moment, she could not remember how she got here. Then she heard a voice. Kayla. She turned her head. Eric was climbing out of the wreck. One hand pressed to a bleeding cut on his forehead. He stumbled through the snow and dropped to his knees beside her. Are you hurt? He asked, his voice rough. She blinked up at him. Just dizzy. He let out a slow breath. We're alive, he said. She nodded once. He helped her sit up. Her ribs ached with every movement, but she forced herself to breathe steady. The cold air was sharp, but it woke her mind. The message, she said suddenly. Eric's single quote's eyes met hers. It went out. Every channel. She looked past him. The black ships were gone. In the distance, she saw the smaller crafts coming across the sky, sleek and silver, marked with the resistance crest. They heard, she whispered. They heard, Eric confirmed. Her throat tightened. She had fought so long to be believed. And now, finally, the truth was free. A tear slipped down her cheek. Eric touched her shoulder gently. You did it, he said softly. She shook her head. We did it. He looked at her, his eyes steady. You never stopped fighting. Neither did you. She wanted to say. The silver ships landed in the snow nearby. Doors opened. An armed soldier stepped out. Their weapons were ready, but their faces showed no anger, only respect. One of them, a tall woman with bright eyes, stepped forward. Kayla, she called. Kayla pushed herself to her feet. Eric stood beside her, one hand on her back to keep her steady. I am Kayla, she said, her voice strong. The woman saluted. I am Captain Aaron. Your message reached us. Commander Thalen has been arrested. Kayla felt her knees weaken, but she did not fall. You are safe now, Captain Aaron said. We will take you home. Kayla looked around. The mountains were quiet, the snow falling gently. For the first time, the world did not feel heavy on her shoulders. Home, she repeated softly. Eric glanced at her. If you want, I'll stay until you're there. She turned to face him fully. You don't have to, she said. I know, he replied, but I will. Something warm and steady filled her chest. She reached out and took his hand. You never asked for this, she said. He smiled, tired and true. Maybe not, but I found something here, something worth fighting for. The wind shifted, blowing away the last of the smoke. Kayla lifted her head to the sky. She thought of everyone she had lost, everyone she had failed to save, but she knew, now she had not truly been alone, not when someone chose to stand beside her. She turned back to Captain Aaron. Let's go, she said. The soldiers moved to help them into the ships. Eric stayed close, his hand never leaving her arm. As they climbed the ramp, Kayla looked back one last time. The broken ship, the mountains, the silent field of snow. This was where she had stopped running, where she had found her voice. Again, where she had learned she was not alone. Eric stepped up beside her. Ready? He asked. She nodded. Ready, she said. They walked inside together. And for the first time since the war began, she felt hope blooming in her heart.